Hello guys, welcome back. And basically, we're gonna be writing into the CSV file now. And to do this, you write this part. You can just copy this part down. I kind of wrote this before I recorded it on accident, but you can just write this part down. And something that's very important here is that I guess here's the parameter. So the first parameter is a name you want to call your file. In this case, we want to call it playerstats.csv. W is the form you want, the mode you want to write in, which is W stands for write and A stands for pen. And this encoding part you just copy. It doesn't really matter if you know what it is. And the key distinguisher between W and A is that W is kind of it means write, which overwrites everything if you write something in W mode. And basically every time you write something in W mode, it deletes everything that's already there. And A means append, so you will add on to what you already have, which is important. And if you want to, so basically if you just want to add on to what you already have, you would use A mode. And yeah, and then let's just go on. And so again, in the CSV file, each comma separates a column, right? So what we want to do is for each, we want kind of each value here separated from each other, because each value here is a column, right? The SF, SG, PF are all part of one column, though in different rows, but they're all part of one column that is position. And the first indice, Kobe Brown, Jordan Hawkins, Gordon Hayward, also part of one column, and that column is name. So we want to make sure we do that. And so how we do that is we'll do this. We will do for I in range titles. This is a for loop, and what we wrote here above is a for each loop. And that will be covered in the Python basics video. So if you don't understand that, go watch the Python basics video. And a key characteristic of for loop versus for each loop is in a for loop, you can actually edit the values. So we're going to add a comma to each value because we're going to try and make each value a different column, right? That's our original goal. So when you text equals titles I plus comma, okay? And that's going to make it a string, and then we're going to add a comma in between data so they're in different columns, right? And then we're going to do CSV. So another thing you have to note is that each time you write, basically each time you write something, so csv.write, when you do this, each time you write something, it's going to have this thing. You're going to have this little thing right here, this part of it. It writes it with this little end thing. And what this end thing does is it basically adds it to a new line. So what you're doing here is you're doing text.rstrip. And rstrip means you're removing the little end, the /n thing. And that basically makes it so that every time you write, you're writing on on one line instead of on different lines. And without this rstrip command, you'll be writing on different lines each time you do csv.write. So remove the new line, which is the new line default, which is represented by so that every time you use csv.write, you are writing on just one line and not including. This is a very weird explanation, but I hope you guys, hopefully that makes it a little clear. And then let's just see what we have here. Let's just see what we have. As you guys can see, once we run it, we have this playerstats.csv that pops up. And as you guys can see, we have all of the first titles right here, right? And we're almost done with this process. And what we just need is a little bit more. What we need is to do this for all the lists or all of the player stats. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go back here, right? We're going to go to for player and then we're going to open the list again. Actually, no. Before we open the list, we have to close it. So we're gonna close this. We're gonna write csv.close. Okay, that just basically closes it so it doesn't get edited. And then now we're gonna open it again in here. So because that's where each kind of player stat is found, right? From the TD tag right here. So we're gonna open it right here above it. We're gonna do CSV equals open data. No, my fault. It's called the player stats. .csv. And again, this time we want to do it in append mode because we want to add to it, not write anew, right? So we're going to write it in A mode, which is append mode. And then encoding again doesn't really matter. So we're going to just encoding here, just put that UTF dash 8. And you know, that doesn't really, you don't really have to understand what that means. And yeah, so yeah, once we open it again, we can add the comma to each kind of value because again, we need to separate each value as a new column, right? That's our goal, right? So let's go back. Let's find where we want to write this. So we're gonna write it right here. So for stat and stats, let's find it. Okay. Actually, we're gonna have to change this. We're gonna have to change this because we're gonna have to edit this, and for each loops don't allow us to edit certain values in a list. So we're gonna make this for I in range length, and then we're gonna do stat, and we're gonna do stat text equals stats I dot text, and then stat text plus equals this. We're just basically gonna add a comma to the stat text to separate, separate it as a new column. So again, add comma to make sure each value is a new column, right? And then we're gonna write it now, and then we're gonna do csv.write stat text. Again, we want to R script so that once we write it, it's not on a new line, and that's how we do it. And then again, kind of the process that you want to remember is you want to write the comma, make sure you have the comma after each value, then you want to write it, because in CSV files you need commas to tell the file that there's a new column, right? So you got to make sure you have the comma before. And again, make sure you're writing on one line, not different lines every single time. And then that should be good. Actually, no. Okay. And then again, remember how after each player, we want to have a new row, right? Because each player is on a separate row. So once we iterate through this one time, we want to go to here, and we want to do csv.write. And basically, this should just give us a new line for each player, right? And that's basically what we needed to do. And yeah, it should be good. And then after all of this, we can just do csv.close. So this, we're gonna say this because each row we need a new line to make each player a new row. Let's try running it now. Let's see. I don't really care that this append thing doesn't work anymore because we're writing it, but if you wanted this to work, we could just do this. We could do stat, what is it? Stat I dot append it's player stats. My fault. Yeah, okay. Yeah, doesn't really matter to me, but dot text, my fault. Now we're good. There we go. Okay, now that works. And then if we go to player stats, we have every single player written now into a CSV file. And what you can do with a CSV file, you can, download it later on and use it for your own scraping or whatever in R. Basically, you have all of this in one CSV file now, all the player statistics. Thank you guys for tuning in today. And that concludes our data scraping. Thank you.